Welcome, card gamers. Today I'm going to give you guys my review of a game called Lord of the Rings Adventure card game, which I played on Nintendo Switch. I'm going to tell you what I think about this game. I'm having a ton of fun with this game, but it is a complete mixed bag. I don't think I've ever played a game that has been this much of a mixed bag in terms of the production quality. So I'm going to tell you all about it in just a second. This is Cheap Card Gamer. Cheap Card Gamer is brought to you by Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's completely free. They have included all the creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor does the work of distributing your podcast for you so that it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, pretty much every podcasting service out there. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. All right, guys, one of the things I want to do on this channel is tell you about some card games that I've been playing lately, and one of those is Lord of the Rings Adventure card game on Switch. I downloaded this from the eShop. What is this game? Well, it's kind of a combination between a deck building game, classic deck building card game, and sort of a tabletop RPG. And of course, it takes place in the Lord of the Rings universe. Now, I will tell you guys at the front end, I'm not the biggest Lord of the Rings fan. I like Lord of the Rings. I think Lord of the Rings is cool. I've not read the books. Y'all, please don't kill me for saying that. I'm actually starting to read the books, but the game has kind of introduced me to some of the characters, and I said, man, I need to know a little bit more about this. So I've actually started reading The Hobbit recently, but I'm not. That is not what drew me to it. Obviously, it just said deck building or card game, and that's what got me on board. But anyway, so I have no experience with, this is based on the living card game, I believe, the Lord of the Rings living card game. So just be careful because there's a few different iterations of Lord of the Rings card games out there. So if you're not aware to know what you're getting into, there's different ones. It's very confusing. Anyway, what about the game? So it's this deck building game. It's based on Lord of the Rings universe, and really what you're doing in the game is you choose between, there's all these heroes that you can choose from the universe. You choose 3 different heroes, and then you build a deck around them from this just really big collection of cards. And then you go to battle. It's different from a traditional card battling game in that you're not just about defeating your enemies or bringing your opponent's life to 0. In this game, you're completing quests. And so it'll be, you've got to discover an exit from this, castle that you're in, or you've got to find a way around to sneak around these orcs or something, different things like that. Now, there is battling, of course, and that's pretty traditional, but I found it a different little change of pace that you're completing quests. It's not just, oh, is my attack power higher than yours? Then, okay, I'm going to win. So that was interesting. I like that. I'll tell you what things I like about the game. First of all, being in the Lord of the Rings universe gives it a lot of meat on the bones, so to speak, about the storyline, the characters, everything, the world being very interesting. So that's good. I would say overall the game is well built and very fun to play. I've had tons of fun just going and completing quests and trying out different characters. It really does feel like different characters play very differently. Some are better at completing quests. Some are better at combat. There's a lot of different things in the game that they're able to do. So it's not all just attacking and defending. Of course, there is some of that, and you can strategize your deck around that if you want. There's a lot of like sometimes hobbits are better at completing quests. Elves are better at like healing and maybe manipulating your deck. And so there's a lot of different, heroes play differently, and I like that. The progression for unlocking cards is really interesting and fun, in my opinion. Everything is, you earn points for completing quests, and you can use points to unlock things like alternate art cards. You can actually buy some cards with the points. You can buy new avatars with the points, card sleeves, things like that. So there is a reason to keep doing quests beyond just experiencing the story and having fun. So I like that. And then one other thing I would say about the game that I enjoy is the, well, this is one thing that I like and don't like, the sound. Everything is narrated with voices. When you start a quest, it kind of opens up. It's like a storybook fashion. Like they'll tell you, oh, the adventurers came to the forest and there was these spiders or whatever. I'm doing a bad job of imitating it, but it's narrated, right? And then you open up and the game sets up and Sauron, you're always playing against Sauron, by the way. He summons his little enemy minions and has his cards out on the table, and then you put your cards out on the table, and then the game starts. It's really very cool, and different characters, the heroes, all have their own voices. It's unique voiceovers, and it's pretty good. There's battle sounds, there's little like clashing of swords, and when characters die, they make little noises like that. And so the sound is fantastic. There, one thing about the sound, one hiccup that I noticed is sometimes you'll have more than one character enter the field at once, and they'll each have like a line of like some type of line that they say when they enter the game. And when that happens, sometimes you'll have like three characters speaking at once, so it's just this jumbled up mess of audio. But moments like that were pretty few and far between, and overall, I think the sound was really good in the game. What didn't I like about this game? Well, in every card game, there's a lot of keywords. And so if we look at like Magic, for example, in Magic, you have a lot of keywords: flying, trample, haste, and you need to know what those terms mean in respects to the cards. And Lord of the Rings is the same. There's a lot of different keywords: ambush, stalwart, guard. And honestly, off the top of my head, I can't give you a clear definition of those. And this is not unlike playing the game. You play a card and it says, oh, this card has stalwart. This character has stalwart. And I think about it like, what does stalwart mean again? In most games, and so on a digital version of a card game, on most games, you'll press the Y button or you'll hover over a card and it'll give you a reminder text of what that means. Oh, stalwart means it does this. Lord of the Rings does not do that for you. Instead, what they have is a glossary of terms in the start menu. So you have to press start, click on the glossary, and when you pull up the glossary, every term related to the Lord of the Rings universe, literally everything you can think of, is in the glossary. So not just things like ambush, stalwart, but also things like elf, orc, stuff like that. This is Lord of the Rings, so there's tons and tons of terms. I would say there's probably hundreds of terms in this glossary. And you would say, well, that's no problem. You just search what you're looking for. There's no search function. There's not even a function where you can flip through the pages. You literally have to scroll one word by word down in alphabetical order down the list. Now, that is extremely problematic. You might say, well, that's pretty nitpicky. Okay, if you're looking up ambush, that's not a problem because that's pretty close to the top. But if you're looking up stalwart, for example, you have to scroll all the way through you just press down on the thumbstick and scroll through hundreds of things. It's just a complete pain in the butt. Whoever designed that way, I just don't think anybody looked at that and thought that could be a good design. It's a complete pain to have to do that. If you can't remember it, and inevitably you won't remember something because there's a lot of different key terms. And that's just a pain to have to look everything up that way. So I did not like that. The other thing I would say, for my taste, I wish there were more quests in the game. There's, I think, 3 campaigns with 5 quests each, and then there's other side stories and things that you can do too. And I should mention too that you can play on different difficulties, and you'll get rewarded for playing on a higher difficulty. And you also get specific rewards and achievements for completing quests with different heroes, and maybe doing that under certain guidelines that are given to you. So I don't want to sound like there's not a lot of replayability, but it would just be really great if there were more quests. What's here is good, and don't get me wrong, there's a ton of content. There is a lot of replayability, but it feels kind of shallow for me with 3 campaigns. It just feels like there should have been more than 3 campaigns. One thing I think they missed on with this game that would have been really cool is why can't you play as Sauron? In every game you play, you are the good guys, you're the heroes, and the computer opponent that you're playing against plays the role of Sauron and the evil minions, the evil wizards, and whatever. It would have been really, really cool for them to be able to flip that and you, as the player, play as Sauron's deck and the computer opponent play as the heroes. And I just feel like that was a missed opportunity. The worst thing about this game, though, and this is the most glaring weak point, which I think is interesting because when I researched this game a little bit before purchasing, I did not see anyone talk about this to my knowledge. And maybe I missed it, but for me, in my experience, this was the worst thing about this game. It is online only in how it operates. You must remain connected for an internet connection in order to play the game. So what that means on the Switch is you cannot put your Switch into sleep mode. Otherwise, you are disconnected, you will lose your progress, and you'll go back to the last save point in your quest, which is typically at the beginning of the quest. So you literally will go back to the beginning of the quest if you put it in sleep in the middle of the quest and try to go back to playing it later. It does not work. And same goes for deck building. If you're in the middle of building a 30 card deck for the game, and say you've picked your heroes out and you're going through the events and allies and things like that, equipment, and you're like, I got to make these last few choices. It's always the hardest things, rounding it out. And then something happens in real life and you got to go. You got to put your game down, and maybe you don't know how long you're going to be away. You get a phone call or something. You come back to your game, it's gone into sleep mode, screensaver is on. You open it back up and you lose your progress. It wasn't saved. There is no save. It's just a huge pain in the butt. Now, so you might ask the question, well, how long are the quests between checkpoints? Because that would make a difference. Man, if they're really long, that doesn't sound good at all. I would say that most quests, I think you could finish in somewhere between 10 to 20 minutes on average. There are some that are a little bit shorter and maybe a little bit longer, depending on what type of deck you're using and a few other things. But so not terribly long, but man, that is a pain to risk losing 10 minutes of progress on a good quest because something happens and you're just not able to keep playing. So I don't understand why companies keep making games with this feature where it's if your internet connection is disconnected, especially for Nintendo Switch. I mean, the whole thing is portability. Come on, guys. I don't understand it. In some games that are cross-platform and you're playing against people on mobile and things like that, I guess I understand it. I still don't like it. But with this on Nintendo Switch, it's just a complete pain in the butt. It seems unnecessary. I don't like it, and I thought that you guys should know about it. With all that being said, it sounds like I'm harping on some negative things, but I still love the game. The game is a complete blast to play. If you like card games of any kind, I believe you'll have a lot of fun with this. The retail price for this game is $19.99. And I would say it is well worth that price. Now, actually, I got it on eShop on sale for, I think, $9.99. It was on sale. I'm not sure if it still is or not. But the game is fantastic. It's a lot of fun to build different decks around different heroes. It's fun to try to complete quests with the special guidelines to unlock different cards. It's a lot of fun to play. It really gives you a sort of Lord of the Rings experience, like the feeling of being on a quest and completing objectives and overcoming the forces of evil, which I think is what the game is designed to do. So it does that very well, and I can't recommend it enough. It's a fantastic game. I would probably give it a 9 out of 10. It's really that good. Even despite some really bad shortcomings, I've had a lot of fun with it. So check it out if you're interested in that. That's all going to be all the time that we have for today. You guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.